He had everything money could buy: a sprawling mansion, luxury cars, and the envy of everyone around him. But as the sun set behind his opulent estate, Lucas sat alone in a darkened room, staring blankly at the walls that echoed with his loneliness. Despite the glittering parties and the laughter of friends, a suffocating emptiness filled his heart. No one knew that beneath the facade of success, he was teetering on the edge of despair, contemplating a life without purpose. What had once been a dream now felt like a gilded cage, trapping him in a cycle of superficiality and isolation. As the camera zooms in on his face, a single tear escapes his eye, revealing the depth of his struggle. Memories flood his mind: his father's warm embrace, the laughter of childhood friends, and the dreams they shared. But those days felt like a distant memory, overshadowed by the relentless pursuit of wealth that had cost him everything he once cherished. Just when it seemed he was about to give up, fate intervened in the most unexpected way. A chance encounter with a father fighting to provide for his daughter would change everything. What could a struggling man possibly teach a millionaire on the brink of despair? As Lucas's world began to shift, he would soon discover that the true measure of wealth isn't found in bank accounts or material possessions, but in the connections we forge and the love we give. Stay tuned to witness a transformation that defies all expectations. If you're moved by stories of redemption and the power of human connection, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring tales. Lucas sat in his luxurious penthouse, the city skyline shimmering outside his floor-to-ceiling windows. But the view that once inspired him now felt like a prison. The vibrant lights twinkled like distant stars, mocking his loneliness. He had everything he ever wanted: wealth, fame, and success. But the emptiness gnawed at him, a constant reminder of what he had lost in the pursuit of his dreams. It was a life filled with parties and superficial relationships, where laughter echoed through grand halls, yet it was devoid of genuine connection. Each evening, after the guests had left and the music faded, Lucas sank into a silence that enveloped him like a heavy fog. He would pour himself a glass of expensive whiskey, the amber liquid swirling in the glass, reflecting the turmoil within him. He often found himself staring into the depths of that glass, searching for answers that never came. The laughter and clinking of glasses from the parties felt like a cruel joke, a stark contrast to the solitude that awaited him once the night ended. His phone buzzed incessantly with notifications, messages from acquaintances and business partners, invitations to exclusive events, but none of it brought him joy. He felt like a ghost in his own life, drifting through days filled with meaningless interactions. The emptiness was suffocating, and he often wondered if this was all there was to life. He had sacrificed so much to reach this point, yet he felt more lost than ever. As he scrolled through social media, he saw photos of friends and family, their smiles radiating warmth and love. A pang of jealousy shot through him, quickly followed by a wave of guilt. He had distanced himself from those who mattered most, choosing to chase after a dream that had turned into a nightmare. The realization struck him hard. In his quest for success, he had lost the very essence of what made life worth living. Lucas's thoughts drifted to his father, a man who had always encouraged him to follow his dreams. Growing up, his father had worked tirelessly to provide for their family, instilling in Lucas the values of hard work and perseverance. But as Lucas climbed the corporate ladder, his father's voice faded into the background, drowned out by the noise of ambition and greed. He remembered the warmth of his father's embrace, the way he would share stories of resilience and hope. Those memories felt like a distant echo, buried under the weight of his material possessions. One night, after yet another lavish gathering, Lucas found himself wandering through the empty halls of his mansion. The silence was deafening, each step echoing against the marble floors. He paused before a large portrait of himself, a younger version clad in a tailored suit, a confident smile plastered on his face. But that smile felt like a mask, hiding the turmoil that brewed beneath the surface. He reached out to touch the frame, a wave of nostalgia washing over him, but it was quickly replaced by a sense of despair. In that moment of vulnerability, he decided to take a walk. The cool night air hit his face as he stepped outside, a welcome contrast to the stifling atmosphere of his home. He strolled through the streets of the city, lost in thought. Each step brought him closer to a realization he had been avoiding for far too long. The city was alive, bustling with people who seemed to have purpose and connection, yet he felt like an outsider looking in. As he walked, he passed a small park where families gathered, children laughing and playing. The sight tugged at his heartstrings, and he couldn't help but feel a sense of longing. He remembered his own childhood, the carefree days spent playing with friends, the warmth of his father's laughter echoing in the background. Those were the moments that filled his heart with joy, but they felt like a lifetime ago. Suddenly, he noticed a small group of people gathered near a playground. Curiosity piqued, he approached and saw a father helping his young daughter learn to ride a bike. The man's face lit up with pride as he encouraged her, his voice filled with love and support. Lucas felt a lump form in his throat, the sight stirring something deep within him. It was a simple moment, yet it radiated warmth and connection, everything he had been missing in his own life. As he watched the father and daughter, he felt a wave of emotion wash over him. The joy in their interaction was palpable, a stark contrast to the hollow relationships he had cultivated over the years. He longed for that kind of connection, the kind that transcends material wealth. The realization hit him hard. He had been chasing after the wrong things, prioritizing success over the relationships that truly mattered. In that instant, Lucas felt a shift within himself. The weight of his loneliness began to lift, replaced by a flicker of hope. Perhaps it wasn't too late to change, to rediscover the joy of genuine connections. As he stood there, lost in thought, he couldn't shake the feeling that this encounter was a turning point. The father's unwavering support for his daughter reminded him of the love his own father had always shown him, and he realized how much he missed that bond. But just as quickly as the hope ignited, doubts crept in. Could he really change? Could he mend the relationships he had neglected? The questions swirled in his mind, leaving him feeling both exhilarated and terrified. He knew he had to confront the choices he had made and the people he had pushed away. It wouldn't be easy, but the thought of continuing down this path of isolation was unbearable. With newfound determination, Lucas turned to leave the park, but not before stealing one last glance at the father and daughter. He felt a sense of longing, a desire to be part of something real and meaningful. As he walked away, he knew he had to reach out to his own father, to reconnect and rebuild the bond that had frayed over the years. Back in his penthouse, Lucas picked up his phone, hesitating for a moment before dialing his father's number. The ringing felt like an eternity, each tone echoing his anxiety. Finally, his father's familiar voice broke through the silence. "Lucas, is that you?" The warmth in his father's tone sent a wave of comfort through him. "Dad, it's me," Lucas replied, his voice trembling slightly. "I've been thinking a lot lately, and I realize how much I've missed you. Can we talk?" A pause followed, filled with unspoken emotions. "Of course, son. I've missed you too." As they arranged to meet, Lucas felt a surge of hope. Perhaps this was the first step toward reclaiming the life he had lost. He knew the journey ahead would be challenging, but for the first time in a long while, he felt a sense of purpose. He was ready to confront the past, to mend the broken relationships, and to rediscover the joy that had eluded him for so long. But as he hung up the phone, a question lingered in his mind. Would his father be willing to forgive him for the distance he had created? Would he understand the struggles Lucas had faced in his pursuit of success? The uncertainty loomed over him, but he knew he had to try. The weight of his loneliness was too heavy to bear, and the prospect of reconnecting with his father filled him with both excitement and fear. As the night deepened, Lucas felt a flicker of hope ignite within him. He was ready to face the challenges ahead, to seek redemption, and to embrace the love that had always been there, waiting for him to return. The journey was just beginning, and he couldn't shake the feeling that something extraordinary was about to unfold. Would he find the connection he craved, or would the ghosts of his past continue to haunt him? Only time would tell. The following week, Lucas found himself pacing nervously in his penthouse. anticipation and anxiety battling within him. He was about to meet his father after years of estrangement, and the weight of their past loomed heavily over him. Would his father be angry, disappointed, or would he welcome Lucas back with open arms? The questions swirled in his mind, each one more daunting than the last. But deep down, he knew this was a crucial step in reclaiming the life he had lost. As the time for their meeting approached, Lucas dressed meticulously, choosing a simple yet elegant outfit. He wanted to convey that he had changed, that he was no longer the arrogant businessman who had prioritized wealth over family. He glanced at his reflection in the mirror, searching for the confidence that had once come so easily to him. But all he saw was a man who had lost his way, desperately hoping to find redemption. When he arrived at the small cafe where they agreed to meet, Lucas felt a wave of nostalgia wash over him. This was the same cafe where he and his father used to spend weekends, sharing stories over steaming cups of coffee. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee and baked goods filled the air, but today it felt different. The familiar surroundings were tinged with uncertainty and a sense of longing for the connection he had neglected for so long. He arrived early, taking a seat at a table by the window, his heart racing as he watched the world go by outside. Each passing moment felt like an eternity. He fiddled with his phone, scrolling through messages from friends and colleagues, but none of it mattered. His focus was solely on the impending reunion with his father. As he waited, he couldn't help but wonder, how would their conversation unfold? Would his father understand the changes he had undergone? Finally, the door swung open, and there stood his father, a familiar figure with a warm smile that instantly lit up the room. Lucas's heart skipped a beat. The years had added some gray to his father's hair, but his eyes still sparkled with kindness. As their gazes locked, Lucas felt an overwhelming rush of emotion. This was the man who had always believed in him, who had supported him through thick and thin. But now a chasm separated them, filled with unspoken words and unresolved feelings. "Lucas!" his father exclaimed, crossing the cafe with open arms. Lucas stepped forward, enveloped in a hug that felt like coming home. The warmth of his father's embrace melted away some of the tension that had built up inside him. "I've missed you, son." "I've missed you too, Dad," Lucas replied, his voice thick with emotion. They settled into their seats, and for a moment, they simply looked at each other, a shared understanding passing between them. The silence was heavy yet comforting, filled with the weight of all that had been left unsaid. As they sipped their coffee, Lucas felt a surge of courage. "Dad, I know I haven't been around. I've been caught up in my own world, chasing after success and forgetting what really matters." He paused, searching his father's face for a reaction. "I'm sorry for pushing you away." His father nodded slowly, his expression a mix of sadness and understanding. "I always knew you were busy, Lucas, but I worried about you. I wanted to be there for you, to support you, but I didn't know how." His voice trembled slightly, revealing the vulnerability beneath the surface. Lucas felt a lump in his throat. "I took everything for granted. I thought that wealth would fill the void, but it only made me feel more isolated. I've been so lost." The admission hung in the air, raw and honest. He could see the pain in his father's eyes, a reflection of the hurt he had caused. "Son, it's never too late to find your way back," his father said gently. "I've always believed in you. You just need to believe in yourself again." The words resonated deeply within Lucas, stirring something he thought he had lost forever: hope. They spent the next hour reminiscing about old times, sharing laughter and stories that had once bonded them. Lucas spoke of his childhood dreams, the adventures they had embarked on together, and the lessons his father had taught him. With each memory, the walls between them began to crumble, revealing the love that had always been present, waiting to be rekindled. But as the conversation flowed, Lucas felt a growing urgency to address the deeper issues that had driven them apart. "Dad, I want to understand how I can make things right. I need your guidance. I've been thinking about giving back, about using my resources to help others, but I don't know where to start." His father's eyes lit up with pride. "That's a wonderful idea, Lucas. There are so many ways you can make a difference. You could volunteer, start a foundation, or support local charities. The important thing is to connect with people and understand their struggles. It's through those connections that you'll find fulfillment." Lucas nodded, feeling a spark of inspiration. "I want to start a community project, something that brings people together and helps those in need. I've seen so much wealth in my life, but I've also seen so much suffering. It's time for me to give back." "Your heart is in the right place," his father replied, a smile spreading across his face. "I'd love to help you with that. We can brainstorm ideas together, find causes that resonate with you. You don't have to do this alone." Tears welled in Lucas's eyes as he felt the weight of his father's support. For the first time in years, he felt a sense of belonging, a connection that transcended material success. "Thank you, Dad. I can't tell you how much this means to me." As they continued to discuss potential projects, Lucas felt a sense of purpose beginning to take root within him. The conversation flowed easily, filled with laughter and excitement. But beneath the surface, an undercurrent of uncertainty remained. Would he be able to follow through on these intentions? Would he truly be able to change his life and make a meaningful impact? Just as they were about to leave, Lucas's father leaned in closer, his expression turning serious. "Lucas, I need you to know something. No matter what happens, I'll always be here for you. You're my son and I love you. That will never change." The words struck Lucas like a bolt of lightning, igniting a fire within him. He realized how much he had taken for granted, how easy it had been to forget the unconditional love that had always been there, waiting for him to return. "I love you too, Dad," he replied, his voice filled with emotion. "I promise to do better, to be better." As they stepped out of the cafe, the sun shone brightly, casting a warm glow over the city. Lucas felt lighter, as if a burden had been lifted from his shoulders. The journey ahead would undoubtedly be challenging, but he was ready to face it. But as they walked down the street, a lingering question remained in Lucas's mind. Would he be able to sustain this newfound purpose? Would he truly be able to reconnect with the community and make a difference? Or would the pressures of his old life pull him back into the shadows? As they parted ways, Lucas felt a sense of determination rising within him. He was ready to embrace the challenges ahead, but the uncertainty loomed large. What lay ahead would test him in ways he could not yet imagine, but he was willing to take that leap of faith. Would he rise to the occasion and transform not only his own life, but the lives of others as well? Only time would tell. In the days that followed his heartfelt reunion with his father, Lucas felt a renewed sense of purpose coursing through him. He spent hours brainstorming ideas for his community project, fueled by the desire to make a meaningful impact on the lives of those around him. The city, once a backdrop to his lonely existence, began to reveal its vibrant pulse, the stories of people struggling, dreaming, and fighting to make ends meet. As he walked through the streets, Lucas noticed the small details he had previously overlooked. The homeless man sitting on the corner with a sign that read, "Hungry and Hoping," the single mother juggling 2 kids while trying to carry groceries, and the elderly woman sitting alone on a park bench, her eyes filled with a mix of sadness and wisdom. Each encounter deepened his resolve to create something that would help these individuals, to provide them with support and a sense of community. He decided to organize a community fair, a day dedicated to bringing people together, offering resources, and celebrating the strength of the neighborhood. The idea was simple yet powerful. Local businesses could set up booths, offering services and products, while organizations could provide information about support programs available to residents. Lucas envisioned a space where people could connect, share their stories, and find hope amidst their struggles. With his father's encouragement, Lucas began reaching out to local businesses and organizations. He was met with enthusiasm and support, as many were eager to contribute to the cause. The planning process was invigorating. He felt alive with the energy of possibility. He collaborated with local chefs to provide free meals, enlisted musicians to perform, and even arranged for workshops on financial literacy and job training. Each detail came together like pieces of a puzzle, forming a vision that was larger than himself. As the date of the fair approached, Lucas felt both excitement and trepidation. Would people come? Would they find value in what he was trying to create? Doubts crept in, but he pushed them aside, focusing instead on the potential for connection and change. He remembered the warmth of his father's encouragement and the love that had been rekindled between them. This was not just about him. It was about the community, about giving back, about healing. On the day of the fair, the sun shone brightly, casting a warm glow over the park where the event was held. Colorful banners fluttered in the gentle breeze, and the air buzzed with anticipation. Lucas arrived early, his heart racing with a mix of nerves and excitement. As he set up his booth, he looked around and saw families arriving, children laughing, and neighbors greeting one another. The scene filled him with hope. This was what he had envisioned, a day of connection and support. As the fair began, Lucas moved through the crowd, greeting attendees and introducing himself to local business owners. He felt a sense of camaraderie with everyone present, a shared understanding that they were all part of something greater. The laughter of children playing filled the air, and the aroma of delicious food wafted through the park, creating an atmosphere of joy and community. One of the highlights of the day was a storytelling corner, where residents could share their experiences. Lucas had arranged for a local author to facilitate the sessions, encouraging people to open up about their struggles and triumphs. As he listened to the stories unfold, he was struck by the resilience of the human spirit. Each tale was a testament to the strength that lay within the community, a reminder that they were not alone in their battles. A woman named Maria stepped up to share her story. With tears in her eyes, she spoke of her journey as a single mother, navigating the challenges of raising her children while working multiple jobs. Her voice trembled as she recounted the moments of despair and doubt, but it was also filled with hope as she described the support she had found among her neighbors. "We lift each other up," she said, her words resonating deeply with everyone present. "Together, we can overcome anything." Lucas felt a lump in his throat as he listened. It was moments like these that reminded him of why he had embarked on this journey. He approached Maria after her story, offering her a heartfelt thank you. "Your courage is inspiring," he said, his voice genuine. "I hope this fair helps you and others like you find even more support in our community." As the day progressed, Lucas continued to engage with attendees, soaking in the energy of the fair. He saw people exchanging phone numbers, forming connections that would extend beyond this one day. The sense of belonging that filled the park was palpable, and Lucas felt a surge of joy as he witnessed the impact of their gathering. However, as the sun began to set, casting a golden hue over the park, Lucas's heart sank at the thought of the fair coming to an end. He had poured his heart into this event, and while it had been a success, he couldn't shake the feeling that there was still so much more to be done. The stories he had heard echoed in his mind, reminding him of the struggles that persisted beyond this day. He realized that the fair was just the beginning, a spark igniting a larger movement toward community support and empowerment. As the final performances wrapped up and the crowd began to disperse, Lucas gathered with his father and a few volunteers to reflect on the day. "This was incredible," his father said, beaming with pride. "You've brought people together in a way that I've never seen before." "Thank you, Dad," Lucas replied, his heart swelling with gratitude. "But I can't help but think about what comes next. This can't be a one-time thing. We need to keep this momentum going." His father nodded thoughtfully. "You're right. Perhaps we can establish a regular community gathering, a place where people can come together, share resources, and support one another. It could be a monthly event or even a weekly meetup." The idea sparked excitement within Lucas. "Yes, we could create a community center, a safe space for everyone. We could offer workshops, support groups, and social events. It would be a hub for connection and growth." As they brainstormed ideas, Lucas felt a sense of purpose solidifying within him. This was more than just a project. It was a calling. He envisioned a place where people could gather, share their struggles, and find hope. The possibilities were endless, and he was determined to see it through. However, as the night wore on, a lingering concern crept into his mind. How would they secure funding for such an ambitious project? Lucas knew that establishing a community center would require resources, partnerships, and a solid plan. He had tasted the sweetness of success with the fair, but the reality of the challenges ahead loomed large. As they wrapped up the evening, Lucas gazed at the remnants of the fair, the discarded cups, the fading banners, and the lingering laughter of families leaving the park. He felt a mix of triumph and uncertainty. The day had been a success, but it was only the beginning. Would he be able to turn this vision into reality? Would he have the strength to navigate the obstacles that lay ahead? With those questions swirling in his mind, Lucas made a silent promise to himself. He would not shy away from the challenges. He would seek out resources, connect with local leaders, and rally support from the community. The journey would be arduous, but he was ready to embrace it. As he walked away from the park hand in hand with his father, he felt a renewed sense of determination. The path ahead was uncertain, but he was no longer afraid. He had found his purpose, and he was ready to fight for it. What would this journey entail? What challenges awaited him? Only time would reveal the answers, but one thing was clear. Lucas was committed to making a difference, and he wouldn't stop until he did. In the months that followed the success of the first community event, Lucas dove headfirst into the mission of transforming his vision into reality. The idea of creating a community center pulsed in his mind, and he knew he had to act quickly. With the support of his father and a few dedicated volunteers, he began to outline a plan. Meetings became frequent, and each gathering was filled with excitement and new ideas. They discussed everything from choosing a location to the activities they could offer, always focusing on creating a welcoming and inclusive space. The first step was to find a suitable location. Lucas knew he needed a space that was accessible to everyone, especially those who needed support the most. After weeks of searching, they finally found an old building that had been abandoned, situated in the heart of the community. The place needed a lot of work, but Lucas saw beyond the disarray and dust. He imagined the walls painted in vibrant colors, the windows open to let in light, and the sounds of laughter and conversation filling the air. It was perfect. With the location chosen, Lucas and his team began to mobilize the community. They organized open meetings, inviting all residents to participate and share their ideas. What started as a personal dream quickly transformed into a collective project. People began to show up, bringing their own experiences and knowledge, and soon the community center started to take shape. Residents came together to clean the space, paint the walls, and set up furniture. Lucas felt a surge of emotion as he watched the community unite around a common cause. Every brushstroke, every piece of furniture moved, was a step toward a better future. The spirit of collaboration and solidarity was palpable, and Lucas felt he was on the right path. As the space transformed, Lucas also began to seek partnerships with local organizations and businesses. He knew he would need financial resources and logistical support to make the center operational. With renewed determination, he launched into meetings with business leaders and representatives from non-profit organizations. Most were impressed by his passion and vision, and many committed to offering support, whether through donations or services. After months of hard work, the day of the grand opening finally arrived. The community center was ready to open its doors, and Lucas could barely contain his excitement. He had dreamed of this moment since the beginning of his journey, and now, looking at the space filled with life and color, he felt fulfilled. There was a sense of hope in the air, a promise of new beginnings. The inauguration was a grand event. The community gathered to celebrate, and Lucas was surrounded by familiar faces and new friends. He stepped up to the makeshift stage, his heart racing. As he looked out at the crowd, memories of his journey flooded his mind. He recalled moments of loneliness, the search for purpose, and finally, the connection with his community. "Welcome to our community center," Lucas began, his voice strong and full of emotion. "This space is a testament to what we can achieve when we come together. Here, everyone is welcome. This is a place to learn, grow, and find support. Together we can make a difference." His words were met with warm applause, and Lucas felt a wave of gratitude. He was no longer alone on his journey. Now there was a network of support around him, formed by people who believed in the same vision. The center was destined to be a home for those in need, a space where stories could be shared and hopes renewed. Throughout the event, Lucas observed the interactions among residents. People who were once strangers were now embracing, sharing laughter and stories. He saw children playing, adults participating in workshops, and elderly individuals sharing their life experiences. The center was alive, pulsating with the energy of the community. However, even amidst the celebration, Lucas knew that the work was just beginning. The center needed regular activities, programs, and resources to continue serving the community. He committed to being present, to listening to the needs of the residents, and to adapting the space as necessary. The idea that the center could become a true home for the community motivated him to move forward, even in the face of challenges that might arise. In the following months, Lucas and his team worked tirelessly to establish a diverse program. They offered cooking classes, craft workshops, support groups, and even counseling sessions. The center became a meeting point for everyone, a place where people could connect, learn, and grow together. Lucas also began implementing a mentorship program, where more experienced community members could help younger ones develop skills and find opportunities. He believed that the exchange of knowledge was crucial for strengthening the community. What started as a personal project transformed into a movement that inspired many to get involved and contribute. As the center grew, Lucas realized that his own life had changed in ways he had never imagined. He had found a purpose that transcended personal ambitions. The connection with people, the impact he was creating, and the sense of belonging filled him in a way that money never could. He felt complete, not because of what he had, but because of the relationships he had built. Yet not everything was easy. There were constant challenges, the need for funding, the struggle to maintain community engagement, and the pressure to ensure that the center met everyone's expectations. But Lucas learned to navigate these difficulties. He surrounded himself with trustworthy people, formed strategic partnerships, and most importantly, kept an open mind to listen and learn from others. One day, while reviewing the center's accounts, Lucas received a message from Maria, the woman who had shared her inspiring story at the first event. She had become one of the center's most active volunteers, and her determination was contagious. "Lucas," the message read, "I just wanted to say thank you. This place has changed my life and so many others. You made this happen." Maria's words touched Lucas's heart. He realized that the impact of the center went beyond his expectations. He had created a space where people felt valued, heard, and supported. This was the true essence of what he had sought, a place where the community could come together, overcome challenges, and celebrate achievements. As he reflected on the journey to that point, Lucas couldn't help but wonder, what more could be done? How could he continue to expand the center's reach and ensure that everyone's voices were heard? He knew the mission was far from over. There were so many other stories to be told, so many lives to be touched. With this renewed determination, Lucas decided it was time to start planning the next step. He wanted to involve the community even more, to create an annual event that celebrated not only achievements, but also stories of resilience and overcoming adversity. A festival that would bring everyone together in a grand embrace of solidarity, where each person could feel part of something greater. As he looked at the community center, now vibrant and full of life, Lucas smiled. He had found his purpose, and the journey was just beginning. The future was filled with possibilities, and he was ready to embrace them. And you? Have you found your purpose? What would you do to help your community? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Let's inspire each other to make a difference.